Welcome to Focus on Faith. I am Chris Cuomo. This is Father Edward Beck. We are at the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Beautiful place, a place of religion. To what does that term apply? How about Scientology? Lawsuits lately, a lot of controversy and criticism of this faith. Is that the right word for it? That's where we'll start today. Scientology, Father Edward Beck. What is wrong with recognizing this as a religion?
Well, first of all, I'm kind of loath to criticize any religion because I know that we all can appear to be a little bit weird. I mean, if you think about it, I believe in a guy who walked on water, changed bread and wine to his body and blood, and rose from the dead. So people could say, what? But when you consider some of the tenets of Scientology, and you consider some of the recent history of it, it does appear to be more cult-like than religion.
How so?
Well, first of all, the leader now, David Miscavige, he supposedly, and this is not by just one person, but many people, over 10 people who are former Scientologists say, he strikes people, like actually hits them, kicks them, is violent toward them. Now, don't say the nuns used to do that to you, because that's what you're going to say.
Well, I wasn't, but
they weren't the leader, first of all, of the church.
But those allegations are beside the point. Who knows where they're coming from, whether they're true, whether they're instructive as to this idea of a faith or not.
Okay, so you have that. You have this theory of disassociation, where if they don't
disconnection.
If they don't like your family members, or if they don't support you in Scientology, they say disconnect from them. So kind of like a cult, you can't be around those who aren't with the cult. They believe in spirit. You're a spirit called thetans. So you're a spiritual being. Thetan. Boy, you're correcting me a lot today. All right, so thetans, okay. So they've existed for millions of years, and they come back reincarnated in different bodies. And supposedly Xenu, the galactic emperor, 75 million years ago, came and hid in volcanoes. And those spirits got reincarnated to those people.
Okay, so there's some lore, L-O-R-E, that seems a little far-fetched. No different than other religions. There is an idea of transposing of spirit, of rejuvenation of spirit, of different levels of spiritual attainment. Reincarnation is believed by the overwhelming majority of those people who are of faith in this world. Buddhism, Hinduism,
why the
central
secrecy,
tenet.
though, around all of this? Why are there secrets of those who go higher up in the echelon here, and you're not allowed to tell people how you got there? The whole Dianetics thing. First of all, this is since
Dianetics was a pretty good book, though. That L. Ron Hubbard book, I never really connected it to the rest of the faith, but it really just seemed kind of like common sense principle with a little bit of Isaac Asimov, kind of Carl Sagan,
right.
Galactical
but,
stuff.
It's only since 1953 that this has been around. It took them 40 years to be recognized in the United States as a religion, finally become tax exempt in 1993. So there's been a lot of suspicion all along with Scientology. Look at the case in Paris, in France. I mean, they just got sued for $1 million for supposedly bilking people out of money for what they couldn't deliver.
Right. Here there was fraud. This all stems from fraud allegations and findings by courts. Here's my thing. The idea of pay to play, right? You pay your way into these different levels of consciousness or training for them, rituals for them, the preying, P-R-E-Y-I-N-G, on the entertainment community, high dollar figures. This has existed about Scientology, these allegations. I just feel that if you look at them in the micro, you hear all these other things about other branches of major religions. Pay to play? Well, how about the prosperity gospel? How about these mega preachers? The more grace you get. Does that make it any different than paying for levels of spirituality? Are we bullying these Scientologists because they're trying to break into our club?
It may be, but the perception, and I don't think they help themselves, when you have the head of it saluting you, and supposedly, and more people than one have documented this, he used to dress up his dog, this is Miscavige, in a uniform with stripes like some kind of soldier or general. And he would want people to give acknowledgement to this dog, and if the dog didn't like you or barked at you, it meant that you had an evil spirit about you.
Maybe it's just him. Let's take him out of the equation.
But he is the head. He sets the tone for the whole. He is basically L. Ron Hubbard's replacement.
And our Pope, Catholic, right, has a very odd costume and handmade special little shoes and a hat with a name.
I haven't heard him smacking anybody across the face recently and kicking them once they're down.
Far be that from the Christian clergy to do that, which brings us back to the nuns. You know, why do they get a pass? Is what I don't understand.
Yeah, again, maybe when you're not inside the group, it's hard to know what's really going on inside the group.
Here's
but
my
with this
point.
much smoke, there's fire.
All right, but I'm saying we found fire in a lot of major faiths. So the question is, why should we point the finger at them any more than everybody else?
Well, I just think because the celebrity factor that's attached to it, people have more intrigue with it. I mean, you have Tom Cruise,
Jealousy?
John Travolta. What about the recent director, Paul Haggis? Okay, director of $1 Million Baby and Crash.
I don't get his letter. You know, I read it, and it's billed as such a, you know, this is.
So his letter saying if you're a church and you're supposed to be inclusive and loving, you didn't support Prop 8 for same-sex marriage in California.
Sounds like a lefty thing. He'd be upset at any Christian church.
And then your leader went on and said there's no such thing as disassociation. Is that what it is?
Disconnection.
Disconnection. And yet my wife, he says, had to disconnect from her family because you didn't like them. So how dare you say that?
Because maybe it's more complicated than that, or maybe it's something that is seen as dear to them or secretive to them that they don't want to expose to everybody else. Other religions have done that. They've denied the existence of processes or rituals that they don't want out there.
But why wouldn't they want it out there? Just PR purposes? Did you see the video of Martin Bashir interviewing Tommy Davis, the head of this?
Mm-hmm. I do think that anytime you go at them, I'm not saying it's legitimate or illegitimate, and I would err on the side of legitimacy. Nightline's doing it, Martin Bashir's doing it. I respect both of these forums very much. But are you picking on them? Are they popular to pick on?
He asked a simple question. Do you believe that Xenu, the galactic emperor, came 75 million years ago, hid in volcanoes with his followers? Do you believe that?
Right.
The guy...
He didn't want to answer.
He wouldn't answer it. He ripped off the microphone and stormed off.
I know. But we don't know why. It can be that, you know...
He denies that Miscavige has hit anybody. Struck anybody. You have documented
that
testimony.
I leave it alone. I leave all that to the side because that's about an individual and protection of them. This faith existed long before him, what goes on afterwards. I guess you have to examine it in terms of positive works that comes for it. What do you think? Father Edward Beck is now...